The Monaco Grand Prix has provided the first images of Mercedes's significant updates to their 2023 Formula One vehicle. Initial photos of the Mercedes in Monaco provide a first indication of how much has changed, including new front suspension, side pods, and floor. The side pods represent a departure from Mercedes's distinctive slimmed-down design in favor of a more traditional downwashing idea. But certain components obviously remain given how challenging it would be to fully alter the fundamental vehicle architecture below during a race. Additionally, the team has created broader, rounder inlets that are more in line with how the rest of the field flows. In addition to pursuing pure performance improvements with the modifications, Mercedes has emphasized that increasing driver trust in the vehicle will be essential to achieving a step forward in lap time and closing the large gap to Red Bull. Mercedes had made it apparent that mechanical upgrades will also be made to enhance the driver's sense of the vehicle, which is why the front suspension was also changed. The Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix was scheduled to take place last week at Imola, but the event was postponed. That indicates that Mercedes is using the enhancements on the Monaco streets for the first time. Toto Wolff, the head of the Mercedes team, acknowledged that it is a unique event, but believed there was still an opportunity to learn about the upgrades before the weekend. "We also need to be careful not to draw too many conclusions from this one event," said Wolff. "We are introducing the first step in a new development direction. It won't be a silver bullet. From my experience, they do not exist in our sport. We hope that it gives the drivers a more stable and predictable platform. Then we can build on that in the weeks and months ahead." 3 teams are expected to compete for the victory in the most luxurious GP, which is just around the corner. Aston Martin, Mercedes, and Red Bull are the crowd favorites. However, this time the Austrian squad will encounter strong resistance from both their competitors. And it appears that this Grand Prix will rank among the most exciting and competitive of the whole season. Mercedes is expecting that the improved Monaco package would significantly outperform the Miami race-ready vehicle. Hamilton admitted that while he would have preferred a 1-second improvement, "It's not like I have a 1-second upgrade coming, which is what I need. But it's something. It's a step in the right direction, hopefully, for us to really be able to progress." In an interview with Sky Deutschland, Wolff advised his drivers to temper their expectations, saying, "I don't think we'll get there and suddenly we're half a second faster and in the middle of a fight. We won't. But we are now laying a new foundation and at least taking some issues off the table that we believe are contributing to us being too slow. Let's see what that brings." Last season, Mercedes unveiled a W13 with a minimum of side pods as Formula One welcomed the grid entry of ground-effect aerodynamic vehicles. But with the W13s bouncing from track to track and Mercedes porpoising more than any other team, it was argued that a significant portion of the issue was that there weren't enough aerodynamicity to keep the floor solid. Midway through the season, Toto Wolff made it plain that he would support his design team if they felt that this was the best course of action. He did so all the way to 3rd place in the Constructors' Championship. 1 Grand Prix was won by Mercedes in that year, and Lewis Hamilton finished the season without a victory for the first time in his 16-year career. With this year's W14, Mercedes kept the zero pods after considerable discussion, much of it presumably in the media. However, 50 seconds later at the season-opening Bahrain Grand Prix, Wolff acknowledged the team wouldn't be successful with the same vehicle. Mercedes looks to have finally taken the decision after making huge improvements to come, but never truly declaring the zero pods will be one of them. The zero pods have disappeared and have been left on the manufacturing floor. The Monaco Grand Prix is the smallest Grand Prix on the schedule, and while it is the one where time passed the fastest, it is also the one where they drive the slowest. As a result, it is difficult to draw many conclusions from the performance because the driver's top priority is to avoid accidents and survive. Add to that the fact that Schumacher and Ricciardo demonstrated last year what it looks like to push it to the limit and finish on the wrong side of the track, making any collision here seem to be rather expensive. Nevertheless, despite having to delay the modifications that were planned for Imola because of the devastating floods that struck the Emilia-Romagna area, Mercedes was still able to transport them. They will be the only team to bring modifications to this race, demonstrating their readiness to engage in battle and contend for the victory in Monaco. But what about Aston Martin? How the AMR-23 will behave on the Monaco circuit? The AMR-23, which has established itself as a competitive piece of equipment, has excelled on high downforce courses that have a lot of slow turns. In Bahrain, Alonso was able to show Hamilton and other drivers how to pass in such corners and get the most out of the vehicle. By hiring Dan Fellows, the former head of aerodynamics at Red Bull, Aston Martin essentially acquired a philosophy. Therefore, it is only fitting that the Silverstone-based team won't have any difficulties in this area. Monaco, on the other hand, is the real deal. And this is the circuit where Alonso will demonstrate his mettle. The AMR-23 is designed specifically for the kinds of tracks seen in Monaco. It is therefore conceivable for Alonso to compete with Verstappen and Perez, despite his reduced ability to pass on Sunday, provided he can clinch the front row and has some success with his pit stop strategy and the durability of his vehicle. The conflict between the two Red Bull drivers is already at its peak at this moment. Aside from Aston Martin's preferences, Red Bull would need to watch out for Mercedes because the Silver Arrows had brought the significant upgrade package that was supposed to be utilized at Imola, but would instead be used here instead of in Barcelona for the first time. Although everyone is excited to see how Mercedes W14 has improved, there are other advancements as well. To suit Hamilton's driving habits, this update may contain frame enhancements. Toto Wolff claims that Mercedes' ability to address Lewis Hamilton's poor posture while driving is limited and can only be altered by 5 and 15 centimeters. But it won't be difficult to change, making Hamilton happy after participating in 5 races in a car that had a number of issues. When you're driving, you feel like you're sitting on the front wheels, which is one of the worst feelings to feel when you're driving a car. If you were driving your car at home and you put the wheels right underneath your legs, you would not be happy when you're approaching the roundabout. So, what that does is it just really changes the attitude of the car and how you perceive its movement. And it makes it harder to predict, compared to when you're further back and you're sitting closer, more center. They are bringing a package that should aid them in this specific area, and the circuit has tremendous downforce. Hamilton and Russell will undoubtedly take precautions and attempt to avoid pushing the car too hard in order to avoid crashing it into the wall. But they will undoubtedly face a challenging job. An excellent morale boost that will also improve their prospects in the forthcoming Grand Prix. Verstappen will have several fronts to contend with in the ongoing conflict between him and Perez, since Monaco is one of Perez's favorite tracks, and because of Perez's prowess on street circuits. Because he prefers to drive a car without an unstable rear end like Verstappen does, Perez has shown to be the driver who can successfully get the car in a faster manner through the slow corners. He gives up a little bit of entrance speed before the corners and accelerates a little bit earlier than Verstappen. Remember that Perez intentionally crashed into Q3 last year in order to start the race ahead of Verstappen and receive preferential treatment in the team's strategy. That's where the drama between the two drivers truly began. Overall, this weekend promises to be highly exciting and is likely to be the first one in which 4 teams will compete for the victory, and only one will be able to claim the throne. Thank you for watching the video, and please enjoy the racing.